Welcome to Hawthorne Hill Farm and Homestead. I'm Marilyn Cameron, and with the help of my husband Paul, we operate this lovely 46-acre farm property in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia. Our children are grown and don't live with us anymore, but we still love this lifestyle and want to continue feeding ourselves. On our farm, we grow a wide array of market garden vegetables, berries, and orchard fruits, and garlic. Plus, we raise free-range hens for eggs, lots of meat birds in the summer. We have a flock of Shetland sheep for wool, and our newest addition to the farm is our family milk cow. Each week, we will post an episode that starts us off in the early spring and will continue until the late fall. We will show you all the things that we do on our farm to get ready for the growing season, how we care for our crops, how we raise our animals, how we make nutritional meals, bake bread, make cheese, pasta, preserves, and so much more. We hope that you will join us and will be inspired to try some new things that will help you become more self-sustaining and to fill your own larder. Thank you. Well, today's beautiful out, a little windy, a little too windy and a bit cool, but it's getting better and it's a great day to start prepping beds for carrots. I'm going to plant carrots this year. I'm going to try it. First time ever in the little west garden here. And we did plant peas here a few days ago. And so I think there is maybe 11 rows here. And I'm going to do 8 of them for carrots. We sell a lot of carrots at the market. And, you know, we eat a lot of carrots too. So it's good to have more than you need. Plus, I've got a couple of extra rows in another garden that we can always put some carrots in if we need to. So the first thing I need to do is on the carrot beds before I fertilize and prep them in preparation for growing carrots is to rake the oats and peas off. Carrots need a nice, loose, non-rocky, sandy soil is the best. Because it's a root vegetable, they need phosphorus. Because they can grow fairly big and they have a nice green top, they need some nitrogen and they like to have some phosphorus. There's a nice thick layer of compost that was administered last fall. And that is the best time to condition your soil. But no worries, if you didn't do it in the fall, you could do it in the spring. You just put a nice generous inch or two of well-rotted manure or some a good grade compost that you either buy or you make out of your kitchen yard waste is good. The only thing that's not great to put on in the spring is a heavy layer of leaf, because the seed, little germinating plants that arise from the seeds has a really difficult time getting up through the matted leaves. But leaves make a great mulch and they sort of add nutrients to the soil as they degrade. So I love leaves, but they're not the thing to put on in the spring over seed bed as a mulch or a fertilizer. I put lime on here a few weeks ago, just on top of this, knowing that there'll be lots of rain or snow, and a lot of it will just seep down through the oats and peas and go on to the top of the soil, which looks like it did. I don't see a whole lot of lime here. Carrots like a nice high pH. So I'm just going to pop this stuff off to the side. And I might scoop it on back over it later. Okay, so we'll do the bone meal first. I just use an old container and I'm just sort of trying to sprinkle it liberally over the surface of the soil. It's not 100% covered, but there's a little bone meal from end to end because there's going to be carrots, not just in the middle, but there's going to be a row of carrots going across. So that's a bone meal for one row. I'll have to put it on fairly low. And now the potassium. The potassium that we get here, I believe, is from Saskatchewan. And it's a fairly, just a light dusting down the row. Potash or potassium is really good for overall vitality of your plants. And a little goes a long way. There. So other than the peat moss, which I'm going to put a nice liberal layer on and then broad fork this row, it's ready to be planted. And just digging down with my hand, earthworms in the first scoop earthworms, if you can see that. So really nice soil. Hi, we're back in the carrot bed, and the wind is much calmer this morning, and it's a little bit warmer. So today I'm going to put peat moss on these carrot bed rows, just to ensure that the soil is as light as possible, so the carrots can grow good, strong, and down. I've never grown carrots in this garden. I'm also going to broad fork, so after the peat moss gets distributed on each little row, I'm going to broad fork it. So that's the project for the next couple of hours. There. Earthworms love peat moss and they will consume it. So it doesn't last for more than one season in a garden. There, I think that's about a third of that one. Okay. So this is the first one, and I'm just going to use this to sprinkle it on. There, that should do it. Okay, let's do the end. Okay, it's row one. So that's broad fork. It's a little narrow at the top. I'll just do my best. I don't want to go through the plastic. So you just put it, I'd say every foot going down, and you just rock on it and then jump off and lift. You're not trying to lift everything out of the soil. You're just trying to decrease compaction and just lift a little. There's slight mixing. The whole thing. The beauty of using oats and peas and heavy layers of compost in the fall is it will suppress weeds. Nova Scotia is pretty warm in the fall. We've got lovely weather, and you could actually weed in early October. Your garden's bare, and then you'll maybe go for a walk in early December, walk by a garden and go, oh my goodness, look at all the weeds. So putting a good mulch on for the winter after they're all weeded out is the best thing, because the rule of soil is loves to be covered. Okay, so that one's done. Good afternoon. I thought we'd take a little look at all the stuff that we have planted so far. So the first is the carrots, and I'll just show you one row. I put row cover on them, and it's just lying flat on them, as you can see here. And I used the new seeder, the Yank seeder. So that's what we call direct seeding. So after you direct seed, you should water your garden in well, right? And then I covered them with row cover and rocks, and it's just flat. And carrots prefer that anyway when they're little, because if it does rain, the water will water all of the carrots equally and evenly, which is nice. You need to keep your soil moist through germination, because if they're really little, like even littler than this, if they're starved for water, they'll quickly die, and that's kind of sad. Then you need to thin them. So just about this time is when we should really take the row covers off in the next few days, and we'll thin them out to about an inch between them. The common pests for carrots include two things. One is carrot weevil, and the carrot weevil is a soil living organism, and you can't get rid of it unless you want to fumigate your soil, and that's something that we just wouldn't consider doing. So we plant onions next to them, around them, and weevil don't like onion roots, so they'll stay away. So it works really well for us. So I would recommend that you either alternate rows of carrots with onions, or you just make a square row around them of onions, and you won't have any weevil. Carrot rust fly comes from the sky, so having row cover on them during the phase where the rust fly is most likely to land on them, and I think it's when they're about 7 inches high, um, is a good idea. I typically don't have a problem with carrot rust fly here, so I don't need to row cover them after germination has happened. I really also have row covers on a lot of things in the garden right now because we have quite a few dandelions around, and until they finish dying, the flowers dying and the seeds blowing off, it's always best to cover as much as your garden as you can with row cover to keep them off. There's also wireworm that can get into carrots and ruin them. It just makes them unmarketable. You can certainly cut off the bad parts and still eat them for your family, but if you're trying to sell them like I do, you can't really sell them if they have holes in them or larvae sticking out of them. So wireworms can be kind of controlled by what you plant the year before, and they don't like any kind of mustard greens, so they tend to vacate the area if mustard greens are planted. If you don't like or can't use mustard greens, you could probably use squash or pumpkin or zucchini. They really have no use for those roots, so it's great. There's nothing for them to eat with those. So if you can plant something they either don't like or they can't eat, they'll vacate the area, and then it kind of takes a while for them to come back and bother your carrots again. So that's the story with carrots, and I hope that kind of helps a little bit. They can be really tough to grow, and it's probably one of the most common failures that people have is carrots. They don't have the right soil. You do need a nice, loose, kind of rich, organic soil that's kind of sandy or has peat moss in it or something in order for carrots to thrive. And then they need certain nutrients. You know, they do need a fair amount of nitrogen. Too much nitrogen makes them really, the roots really branchy and they're unsellable. So you have to kind of control the nitrogen, but they do need, phosphorus, and they do need some potassium.